have the Ayatollah of fantasy rock and roll with us today, Adam Rank. How you doing, Rank?
They look great in person, and I just can't wait till next year where we can pack it full of 25,000.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I didn't know it was Ball Guys Day. It was being ranked. I mean, how can you lose?
This is the Dynasty Vipers Vipercast.
Welcome back to the Dynasty Vipers Vipercast, Behind the Grind, presented by the Fantasy Points Media Group. And joining us today, we have one of our own, one of the founding fathers of Fantasy Points himself there, Tom Brolley. How you doing, Tom?
Wake everybody up.
I'm doing good. I'm trying to get through this. I'll just warn anybody now if there's some coughing. I just got over a bout with COVID here, so this is the most talking I've done in a week here. So I'm trying to survive here, so bear with me if there's a little bit of coughing and sneezing going on.
Hey, that's all right, because I'm usually pretty quick on the draw here to get into the talking here. Sometimes I just cut Major off just for fun. I might not even have anything intelligent to say. I just want to make sure Major doesn't say anything, so I just jump in there each and every time. But the one thing I do love over at Fantasy Points, we are lucky enough to be part of that media group there, but Fantasy Points is family, right? We talk about this. We're going to get into this journey and how a lot of these members of the Fantasy Points are connected and how they kind of intertwine with one another, which I think is absolutely wonderful. We talk about networking, which is going to come up also in the show here a little bit later. But the first thing we got to talk about, Major, you know where I'm going with this. If you were coming in the ninth inning for the Pittsburgh Pirates, okay? Let's give a little shout out to the Pittsburgh Pirates here. Or maybe you're coming down to the wrestling ring or whatever that might be. What is that intro song for Tom Brolley going to be?
So you're telling for the Pirates, so there's like about 5,000 people in the stands. Not a lot of people.
It's a packed house. A packed house.
Yeah, it's not exactly a packed house, but I'll probably have to go. I'm like a Southern rock guy. I like Americana music. I love the Drive-By Truckers. Where the Devil Don't Stay. Maybe you guys familiar with Steve Earle at all? Maybe I'll do a little Copperhead Road.
Yeah, there we go, a little Copperhead Road.
Yeah, my name's John Lee Pettymore.
So yeah, my daddy and his daddy before.
Exactly. There you go. You're familiar with little Steve Earle. So yeah, I'd probably I get a little rock going. I think I'd probably sprint out to the mound. That's how I'm not one of those to, pimp walk it out. I'm sprinting to the mound. I'm getting out there to do my business.
Yeah.
So that brings another kind of question here. If an intro music plays at a Pittsburgh Pirates game, does it actually make a sound?
Exactly. I don't think it registers. Nobody's there to hear it. So yeah.
Sorry, I was late on that one. That was good, man.
So we know what that intro song is going to be, but hey, we all have our guilty pleasures, right? There's always that one song that, hey, if we tell our buddies, they may judge us for this. So, hey, you know what, Tom? What's that guilty pleasure song? Is it a little Taylor Swift? Is it a little Shakira? Is it maybe a little Ricky Martin? She bangs, she bangs. What is that guilty pleasure song?
That's a good question. You're putting me on the spot here. I've been listening. There's been on Pittsburgh radio. There's been some like 90s alternative. They're having a countdown of the top 90s alternative music. So I'm trying to think. I'm like a Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana. Something I haven't really listened to in a while, but I could get down with something like that. That's kind of my guilty pleasure. I've been listening to that for the last 2 days, and I've been really rocking out to that stuff.
Yeah, there's no Southern rocker that wants to admit to listening to grunge rock.
Exactly. That's not too hip.
Right. Let's talk about young Tom just walking around, young kid, don't know what's going on in life, didn't know he's going to be this like boss when he got older. Did you play any sports as a youth?
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up. I kind of didn't. I didn't fall in love with sports initially. I kind of sucked at them, but I kept, my dad loved sports, so I kept practicing at it, and eventually I got, to the point where, I got to be a pretty good pitcher in baseball. Threw a couple no hitters in Pony League, and became exactly self-pat there. Became a pretty good. I got some height. I'm 6'2", which is pretty tall for Cambria County, Pennsylvania. So I got into basketball, and then I played quarterback for our high school football team in high school. My uncle was a football coach. He played at Towson State University in Baltimore. He was before they went Division I AA. They were Division II, Division III, and they won a national championship. So he was a really good receiver. At Johnstown, he was a state track, finished in 4x100s. I think he finished. They won a gold medal, or they were top 3 or whatever at state. So he kind of taught me how to play football and taught me the quarterback position. And he coaches at St. Francis University now, Division I AA.
Nice.
So I had some ties to football from a pretty young age. So grew up playing a little bit of quarterback. So I have a lot of experience playing sports, and a lot of fond memories of those days growing up.
So are you all Pittsburgh across the board for all the sports teams?
Absolutely.
So if you had to pick one team out of the Pittsburgh family, other than Pittsburgh, who are you selecting? What team? Let's say football, basketball. Who's in baseball? Your secondary teams, I would say. I guess
secondary.
Actually, I might be getting you assassinated. You as a Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pittsburgh is pretty crazy when it comes to it.
I'm trying to think back. I'm growing up, just because my dad was he was a huge Pirates fan, so I kind of grew up. I wanted to antagonize them a little bit, so I rooted for the Braves a little bit. I'm a little ashamed to say I did that.
That was a bad question. Don't even. He didn't appreciate that. I rooted for Greg Maddux and Tom Clavin in those teams, and that's some good teams.
Football wise, Tecmo Super Bowl days. Playing with Randall Cunningham, QB12, Eagles QB12. Who could beat that? So I remember the one year for Christmas, I got a signed pennant. Randall Cunningham signed it. Turned out it was my dad who just signed Randall Cunningham on it. I was 7 years old at the time. So
you took it to school and everything, and they just busted your bubble or what?
He eventually, burst my bubble after a week or two. But I believed I wanted it framed and everything. So Eagles probably.
So who was your favorite players growing up? Who's some of your favorite players?
Oh, Randall Cunningham was one of them. Cordell Stewart was kind of the guy. He was Mr. Slash. That was, that was a pretty nice time to be a Steelers fan. Yancey Thigpen, receiver, Greg Lloyd, and Kevin Green, playing linebacker for Blitzburg. We had a pretty good run there in the mid-'90s. Young Tom was left crying a couple times, losing to the Chargers in the AFC Championship game in '94. Then Neil O'Donnell throwing the 3 interceptions in the Super Bowl. It was a tough 2-year stretch for me, but that calloused me here as a sports fan.
Made you a real fan, huh?
Yeah, exactly. The Pirates had 20 straight losing seasons, so I grew up. I grew up with tough skin here.
Yeah.
I just love that we have a Pittsburgh Pirates fan on just a couple days after the official Bobby Bonilla Day, where he just got himself paid again, $1.1 million. The contract that just never ends there. Thank you, New York Mets, for kind of continuing on the thing. Don't worry,
you can thank the Pirates for sending them there, and that's kind of what started it all.
Man, we were talking about those Pirates teams there. When you have Bonds and Bonilla, man, the killer bees there in Pittsburgh, there were some good times there for Pirates Nation. Now, we have our own there in hockey, too. The Rick DiPietro Day, he gets about $1.9 million until, I don't know when that is, 2025, 2035, something like it's crazy. Ridiculous as well.
Yeah, I think Bonilla's is wrapping up here soon, isn't it? I think it's 2025 or it's coming around here soon. It's been going 25, 30 plus years or whatever.
Yeah, I love when players win though, man. That's the best. When players get one of those wins in the contract disputes, I think that's the best thing ever.
So let's kind of back this up here a little bit. Let's kind of put this towards fantasy football here. It's the Scott Fish Bowl right now. We're talking Scott Fish Bowl all over Twitter. It's going on there. You want to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates? They had some pretty good runs back in the day. You had a pretty good run back in the day, too, here in the Scott Fish Bowl back to 2018. Top 10 finish when it comes to that. Yeah. What was the secret to that finish, and how can Major get in the top 50 when it's all said and done?
That year, no, that was the Patrick Mahomes year. I kind of held off on quarterback. I drafted Patrick Mahomes. I kind of went all in on him. I liked what I saw. He played that one game in 2017, and I kind of went all in on him, and I kind of rode him, all the way. And I had a pretty good run last year. I drafted J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers, and my season was kind of over before it even started. But I mean, my best running back last year was like Nyheim Hines, and I was battling to the end. I finished like third place in my division, but I had a pretty good team. I had I rode Tom Brady and the Mike Evans connection, but I've had a pretty good run in Scott Fishbowl. I'm still waiting to see what division I'm in here. I think I'm in it. I haven't gotten any information on what division I'm in. I'm not doing any of the live drafts, so I'm not quite sure. But I know it's starting up here. The internet ones are coming up here, I think, July 11th or so. So hopefully I get word here what division I'm in here pretty soon.
Yeah, it sounds like Atlanta's kicked off. Chicago's kicked off for those live drafts here. I actually just got moved from Letterkenny, which was going to be strictly online, to now online live doing the Series XM draft there. So that's going to be fun. Sitting down with good old Fantasy Mojo there, Drew Davenport, Orth there from the FF Today. Guys I all do the Kings Classic with, which I know you're kind of familiar with the Kings Classic a little bit as well. So
I'll be out there. I'll be out there for the expo. I'm looking forward to it. We'll have to sit down and share a beverage.
There you go.
I think Fantasy Points is going to be well represented there. I'm hearing that we're sending quite the contingency there to Canton, including myself and possibly Major. I think he's still trying to figure out a way to couch surf there in Canton right now. But I mean, I think the whole family's coming down because, hey, Fantasy Points, they're sponsoring one of those party nights. So, hey, let's bring the whole family down for that.
Yeah, we got some guys that can party on staff. I'm sure Joe and I, Joe Dolan and I, and Graham, we'll be putting some away. So Friday night we'll be going hard. Hopefully everybody can get up and be able to do their Kings, the Kings Classic drafts on Saturday. Hopefully we don't go too hard. You got to save a little energy for Saturday.
There you go. Let's get back into you a little bit here. Let's talk about a decision that changed the trajectory of your life.
Well, I mean, I was pretty undecided what I was going to do in high school. I had a creative writing class, and it was just kind of a bullshit class that I decided to take for credits. And I thought I was going to be like a business major or something. And Mrs. Hostetler, encouraged me. I was big into sports. Obviously, I was playing 3 different sports in high school, and so I decided to write it was in the spring, so I did a baseball preview where I broke down all 32 teams and with all this great detail, and she thought it was great. I just unbelievable stats and everything, and it was just like a kind of what I do now. It was kind of the original, betting previews that I'm writing right now for the website, and that kind of got me moving in the direction. So I ended up studying communications at Penn State and started working on the Collegian. The Collegian is the student newspaper at Penn State. So that kind of got me moving in that direction. I really hadn't considered communications or writing for a living. I thought a lot of people, a lot of my uncles and stuff were kind of accounting and kind of boring life, and that kind of got me moving in that direction to try writing and to try to get something where I'm writing about sports, and that was kind of formative for me.
Yeah, what grade did you get on that paper?
Oh, it was 100. She loved it. She's like, I don't know anything you're writing about in here. She was not she was an English teacher. Creative writing she was into the arts and the finer things, and she didn't know anything about sports. But she's like, I can tell by all the detail and everything that's in this that you really know what you're talking about, and you're a good enough writer to do something like this. So she kind of steered me in that direction.
Nice. Shout out to good teachers, man.
Yep.
Yeah, shout out to high school teachers, Mrs. Hostetler there, for encouraging betting at a young age. Now,
that's my dad. My dad encouraged that, at a young age. And he was the one running the office polls at the Evansburg Center. Paying $1 to get in. It was just pick 'em. It was straight pick 'em in those days. We weren't picking against the spread, but he was the one that really encouraged me to start gambling back when I was 8 years old. He would front me the cash. He would front me the $1 or $2 to get into the pool. But that's kind of what got me into my first gambling. There was playing in his office pools and winning a couple times. I liked to. Of course, I had to split the money with him. He was fronting me the cash to play in the thing, so I had to give him some of the money.
Shout out
That was
to
just his way
dads
of
who are
getting
just
two
like
bets
on
in
the
there.
borderline there. Shout out to those borderline dads, man. Those straight edge dads. Like, get them out of here. Let's get those guys that play in the gray area a little bit. Let's get those dads some shout outs.
Yep, he was the one that gave me my love for gambling and for sports.
So let's go with the young gambling there, Tom. Let's kind of talk about this. What are some of the biggest changes you see now compared to when you first started in this fantasy industry, started in this whole fantasy betting? I mean, right now we're seeing betting absolutely trending upward, taking off with no real sign of slowing down.
Yeah, I've been doing the betting stuff, I guess, for the last better part of 5 years. I didn't really start in that side of it. There wasn't much of a market for it. This is basically the 10-year anniversary of when I first started writing and working with Joe Dolan and John Hansen. It was basically July 4th weekend, 2012. So this is like my 10-year anniversary of being in the industry. And
Congrats.
the guy, Matt Brown, who works for The Athletic now, he was a college buddy of ours, and he took a job with Sports on Earth, a defunct site that's now gone. But Joe kind of got me in, and that's how I kind of got my foot in the door here. And we started doing the gambling stuff. I guess we really weren't. I wasn't really doing it at Fantasy Guru, was the John Hansen's old site. And he sold that, and we kind of splintered off of that site. And Joe and I started doing the Fantasy Free Agents, where we were doing podcasts and content for that. But, there was definitely starting to be a market for gambling. It was starting to get, it was on the verge of getting legalized. New Jersey was fighting it in federal court there. So it was on the precipice there. So I decided to start doing picks and against the spread picks, and, had a lot of fun doing it, and started getting a little bit of a following doing that. And, people were, hey, Brolley, when are you putting your picks out? Blah, blah, blah. So, and then it became legalized here. So why not keep expanding, what we write about? And now I'm kind of writing full time doing betting stuff. And there's definitely an appetite for it. It's only going to continue to grow here. There's, I don't know how many states are legalized yet, but it's about half of them, maybe a little bit more than that. We might be getting up to 30 now, but it's still expanding here. So I think there's going to be more growth in that area. So I love writing about it, and I think it's going to just continue to grow here. So I'm glad that I was kind of in there early and, writing about it and really enjoying doing it. I still do a lot of, I'm probably about 50-50 fantasy, 50-50, doing the betting stuff, but doing the fantasy stuff kind of grounds me, for my betting stuff. It really gives me a lot of information, and I use that a lot for my betting stuff.
Nice. What's something about yourself that many people don't realize? Like, any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. I like to cook. I like to barbecue a little bit. This 4th of July weekend, I was doing a little sausage and peppers on the grill here before the show here. So I like to cook a lot, and I like to try to golf. I've slowly been getting better as a golfer. I really started picking up here the last 6 or 8 years, and I was a guy that was shooting in the hundreds not too long ago, and I tick off a stroke or two every year. So I'm down to in the mid 80s now. I'm an 84, 85 type of golfer now. So I just did a Pinehurst trip this year, wearing the hat. Got the flag behind me as well, Pinehurst number 2. So doing more trips like that. And honestly, that's why we moved. We're doing this July 3rd. I'm taking off for England, going to Scotland here for the 150th Open Championship at St. Andrews. That starts not this Thursday, but next Thursday at the the home of golf there. So my brother is stationed over in England, so it's going to be his last tour of duty over in England. So figured this is our last chance to do something like this. So heading over there, flying out Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So looking forward to that. So yeah, I like to cook and I enjoy golf a lot. I've really gotten into the weeds on golf. That's I spend a lot of my time, free time during the summer here before it really picks up into the fall where I have no free time. I like to golf a lot.
Is it proper golf etiquette to steal flags from the golf course?
Oh yeah, it took it right off of the 18th, right off the 18th flag there. So yeah, they don't care. They just let you go right up there and take it now.
Like security.
I have another one here. I got a Marion flag. I can't really show it there, but I like to collect. It's kind of like a golf collector's thing. You go to these courses and you get little flags to hang on your wall here. So I'm starting to. I'm hitting some bigger courses here, and St. Andrews is obviously the biggest one I'll ever get, and that's kind of the home of golf. So that's the biggest one out there for me.
Well, I'm basically the Canadian Happy Gilmore. I've been caught once or twice, maybe washing my underwear in the ball washer, but hey, that's neither here nor there. Now, one thing people may not realize here is over at fantasypoints.com, they've just launched an entire golf program, so to speak, there. I mean, you got some of the best minds there when we talk about the PGA, going to that betting. Are you going to be doing some live correspondence there from St. Andrews?
I might have to. I'll be taking pictures. I'll get some weather conditions. I'll get some flags. I'll feel how firm the turf is. How the ball is going to be rolling out. Where they're going to be setting the tees and where they're placing the flags. So I'll have to be getting the insider information for our guys Dom Cintorino and Matt Gannon and all our golf guys. That's been a fun little thing that we've started here since April. I've been contributing a little bit on the side here. That's kind of the second sport that I like to really, I'll gamble a little bit on the NBA, on MLB or whatever, but golf is kind of my second favorite sport to bet on outside of the NFL.
Well, I can tell you what the weather report's going to be right now. It's going to be windy and rainy. Yes. I mean, that's pretty much what it's like every single time. So there's nothing hidden about that. Now, hey, after the show, I'll send you some of these glamour pictures I took on the golf course. They are fantastic. But you kind of mentioned golf here. Yeah, Major's like, don't
open those things, dude. Whatever you do, don't open it.
Do you have shirts on?
Always questionable, Matt. That's an awesome question when it comes to Matt. You always have to ask that first.
Hey, no, there's no shirt. Okay, let's be honest. There's no shirt. Now, when we talk about your in-season versus off-season, is there an off-season? And what do you do to kind of recharge if there's not? Like, where do you find that time just to kind of go, hey, you know what? I take a step back and then I'm going to hit it hard. How do you do that?
Ooh, that's a great question. There really isn't anymore. I mean, once the season starts, September, like I don't take a breather until really after the Super Bowl, and even then, it's like I place those Chargers. I'm breaking down the Super Bowl. They're coming out like right after like the championship games. They're for the next year's Super Bowl. So there's a little bit of downtime, but free agency rolls around. We start getting odds for that. The draft season, I mean, that's huge. So everybody has draft props out now. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania doesn't put any out, but there's still people, still a lot of states that put them out, and like to put some picks up for the site that break down the props there. And then May kind of rolls around. We get the rookie props that come out. Start betting those, and now we're into June and July, and the full menu is out. We're getting all the player props for every team, every player, breaking all those down. So there's not a whole lot of downtime, period with the NFL. But definitely, I'm trying to catch my breath here a little bit. I'm obviously doing the trip in the middle of July here. It's kind of my last hurrah, because once training camp rolls around in late July, it's football all the time. And I love it though. It's not it's not like it's a chore or anything. You get into a routine, and once the season rolls around, you're watching the games on Sunday. I'm right in the waiver wire, and then Monday, doing my initial picks, doing the market report on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm writing, the trends and checking injury reports, doing live streams. So it has a rhythm to it. It's work, but it's not stressful work. It's something that I enjoy doing.
I guess that's the one good thing about being a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. You have a lot of open time and a lot of free time in July and August.
No, you're not wrong about that.
Hey, Matt's on fire today.
We got O'Neal Cruz up, man. That giving us a little bit of life here till like the middle of July, and then we'll all give up.
Yeah, when you're doing all that stuff, are you a YouTube guy? What's on your YouTube playlist right now?
Oh,
not even music, it'd be podcasts, videos, whatever. What are you watching?
Well, with the trip coming up, I've been watching a lot of Scottish, I was watching Edinburgh, as they say, Edinburgh food. I was checking out some videos for that. Where to tourist sites in Scotland there. A lot of St. Andrews YouTube videos right now. I'm trying to think. A lot of golf, just how to fix a slice and how to hit the ball farther. A lot of how-to videos on how to improve my golf game. And then I'll watch. I love watching. Norm Macdonald passed away. Good Canadian comedian there for you, Matt. I watch a lot of his old interviews and his stand-up routines. So that's on the queue. Watch Bill Burr. I like watching comedic bits. So. That's kind of my big stuff on YouTube right now.
Now, I know that we've lost Norm Macdonald, but do you ever just kind of ask John Hanson to kind of do a couple Norm Macdonald skits from time to time?
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, just the off the cuff, you have no idea where they're going, just rambling for 8 minutes, and you're just, where is this joke gonna go, or is this even a joke? And then it eventually has a punchline at the end, but. We miss Norm. I actually have a sports hat I like to wear around. It's a good conversation starter. That's he did that defunct. He did that one season show on Comedy Central. It was just called Norm's Sports Show or whatever it was, and he'd always wear the sports hat. And I have one of those. That's a friend of mine got it for me.
Well, we had John on last year this time. One of those things he kind of mentions, sometimes people kind of get mistaken my voice for Norm Macdonald's. And as soon as he said that, you're like, oh, there it is. That's it. It. But
I can definitely hear it. The cadence that he had.
Exactly.
So I just kind of mentioned John. You kind of mentioned Joe a little bit earlier, that Penn State kind of connection going way back there. Can you kind of give us kind of a quick rundown on how Fantasy Points came about? I mean, you guys are doing the Fantasy Guru site there. You, John, Joel. You had the Fantasy Free Agent there kind of podcast going with Joe and Ben there in the background as well. I mean, that's 4 members of the owner, Graham Barfield, coming over from the NFL Network eventually at some point. Just kind of how did this whole mesh together there at Fantasy Points? And from where we are now, when you guys first started Fantasy Points to what you're seeing right now with these new additions and kind of spreading out to college football, to PGA, and then obviously fantasy football, that growth, kind of talk about that real quick.
Yeah, well, we are at Fantasy Guru. Graham was over at Fantasy Guru as well. He worked for us for probably about 2 years, a year or two at least. And then he took the NFL Network gig. But yeah, John sold Fantasy Guru. It didn't really work out with the guys that we sold to. And, John, none of us were really enjoying it. So, we kind of splintered off, and, Joe and I, we started Fantasy Free Agents, and John was just like, stay available, guys. If we can throw something together at some point, we'll do it. And, Fantasy Points, we eventually cooked that up a couple years later, and, we're really off and running here. Ben has really been the catalyst. He was the guy that was kind of behind the scenes before, and he's been the guy that's really driven a lot of the new ventures that we have with the college football and with the golf. And the data side is coming in August. We're really excited for that. That's going to be our PFF style but with more of a fantasy slant for statistics and stuff. We're gonna have a team of charters that are gonna have ahead of the game type of stats that fantasy people are gonna love. So that's the next thing to look forward to. I think we're gonna maybe cool it a little bit after this. We're really gonna try to focus and really refine the things that we're doing. But it's been a pretty fun ride here. When we started, it was April 2020.
Wow.
Thought the world might end at that point.
Exactly.
The COVID. This is actually the first time I got COVID was this week. I'm happy that I've made it. 2.5 years basically. But at that beginning of that time, it was like, holy shit, we're going to start this website in April 2020. We're screwed. They're not even going to play a football season. All the work that we put in for the last, year or so that we did to get this off the ground, it's going to go all up in smoke. But we survived. Yeah. Thank you to the NFL for finding a way to get through that season, and no fans in the stadium, but a lot of people got a lot of entertainment from that season. And, we were able to get through that year, and the business has taken off since then. And we have, such a great loyal base of subscribers that, love everything that we do. And that's why we've decided to do these other things, and we've got the right people to do it too. We wouldn't just throw people out there that, we didn't think were good at what they did. And so we're pretty optimistic that the golf and the college football and the stats will take off. But the fantasy football, the DFS, and the betting side on the NFL, that's always going to be kind of our bread and butter. But we're pretty excited to keep going and doing some new interesting adventures here with Fantasy Points.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a lot of heartache and all that stuff. And around that time when COVID happened, you guys were doing all that work. But talk to us about some other heartache. You spoke a little bit about it, but let's dive a little bit deeper into that, man. Let's talk about Neil O'Donnell, man, and that Super Bowl.
Oh, that was tough. I thought, I grew up, I was about, I guess I would have been 10, about to turn 11 at that point.
Yeah.
As a Steelers fan, you listen to your parents talk. Oh, back in my day, 4 Super Bowls, Terry Bradshaw, Mean Joe Green, and so I didn't know any better. They made it to the AFC Championship game the year before. We're in the Super Bowl, So I thought, this is going to be
win
like
every year, huh?
Exactly. We're the Steelers. This is supposed to happen. And
right.
Neil O'Donnell throws the interceptions in the second half, and I'm crying like a baby on the whole ride home, and the world's ending. And then Neil O'Donnell goes and signs with the Jets right after that. And it's like, oh, I guess it's over. So, but we did get Cordell Stewart, and, good things started to happen after that. And couldn't get over the hump until we got Ben Roethlisberger, but we eventually did get our Super Bowls. And that was a pretty fun time, being up at Penn State, winning a Super Bowl as a sophomore. That was some heated rivalry too. The Eagles had some good teams during that period. And if you know anything about State College, Pennsylvania, it is sitting smack dab right in the middle of the state. And basically half the students are from New Jersey and Philadelphia. Half the students are from Pittsburgh and, Western Pennsylvania. So there was some intense times up in State College, but there were some good football teams at that time. But, we eventually got our Super Bowls. Neil O'Donnell broke my heart back when I was a 10-year-old, but the good times eventually came.
So I got to ask this, what was more difficult on you? What was harder on you, that Super Bowl loss or the NCAA tournament in Pittsburgh?
The NCAA tournament in Pittsburgh. Joe's telling you some stories.
Oh.
Now that was a good time. We won our bet. It was Alabama versus Colin Sexton was on that team against Virginia Tech. So Joe and we got tickets to, we never been to NCAA tournament games. They have the regional sites, and you get the 4. You get 2 tickets for 4 games. We went and enjoyed the afternoon games, and screw it, let's go get some drinks and have a good time before the two night games. And Villanova was playing, who ended up winning the national championship that year. They were playing, some 16 seed, and Joe and I are sitting in the bar, and it's like a 25-point game at halftime or something. It's like, screw this, let's just keep drinking at the bar. And we eventually, we placed two significant wagers on the over for the nightcap, and we get into the game, and there's no booze. They don't sell booze at these games. It's an NCAA product, so you can't sell booze at NCAA games. So, we decide, well, where there is booze, it's in the suites. So Joe and I, we have one half tied on, and we sneak up to the suites. The key to it is you just act like you own the place, like you know everybody there. You're just shaking hands with everybody. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? Eventually we do get found out because we're literally cheering for every basket that goes in. We're cheering for an over. They're like, what are these guys? They're going nuts every time somebody scores. They're not cheering for a team. But there was a sweet lady there that made sure that we were getting some waters in us, and we weren't too inebriated at that point. But Joe, that was a good time. We that was at PPG Arena in Pittsburgh. There, that was a time we had, and we won our bets. So it was a good night by all.
Yeah, man. So far, we've learned that you were like a young gambling protege. You were a three-sport athlete in high school.
A little catch me if you can kind of slid in there.
Became a writer. Yeah, a little breaking and entering. You know what I'm saying? So, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Well, I kind of got into the business. I was a journalism major, so I did have a lot of fun covering high school sports. That's how I kind of got my start, was in writing for the Wilkes-Barre newspaper up in Northeast Pennsylvania. The funny thing is, the first event I ever covered up there, there was this young golf phenom. It was the first event I covered. He was a freshman that year. He went on, beat everybody. He beat all the seniors and juniors. His name was Brandon Matthews, and he went on to win the state championship. He goes on. He's now winning, on the Corn Ferry Tour. Just locked up his PGA Tour card. He's going to be on the PGA Tour next year. Nice. He's literally known for being the longest driver in all of professional sports. Bryson DeChambeau is jealous of how far Brandon Matthews hits the ball. So I guess if I was doing, if I wasn't doing fantasy, maybe I would still be doing that. Or, I have, a lot of love for golf. Maybe I would do something in the golf industry, maybe go back to school and try to be, golf superintendent or golf pro or something like that. I could see doing something like that, but I'm pretty happy with where I'm at here with the fantasy points, and hopefully that doesn't go away anytime soon. I don't think it will, but I might be doing something. I might still be writing for a newspaper or working in the golf industry, I guess.
So you kind of mentioned fantasy points there again, and we're going to keep going back and on this all the time here. But what has fantasy football taught you about yourself?
Oh,
let's go deep here.
Yeah, that's a great question. Never get too high. You never get too low. You're never the smartest person in the room. There's always somebody there to knock you down a peg or two.
I never have that problem. I already know dang well I ain't going to be the smartest person in any room.
Yeah,
and that's if I'm in the room with myself even.
Oh my God.
It's also taught me that you got to put the work in to get good results as well. But yeah, it grounds you, because fantasy football, all it takes is one injury or, a fluke play. And, you think you got the best team, and, then you lose the next week and you get knocked down a peg. So I'd say, it gives you a little bit of humility, and it's also taught me to work hard and to play because it's a lot of times, fantasy matchups or gambling, it comes down to one play or two, and just putting in the work and trying to get that edge, just that small, as a gambler, you're just always looking for whatever edge you can get. Just if it's just a little bit plus EV, as they say, you're just looking to, just because they're not always going to go in your direction. You you're just looking for more bounces to go your way. So that's kind of what fantasy sports has taught me, and what gambling has taught me, and to never take things too hard. If you keep putting the work in, the bricks will probably go your way eventually.
We've kind of focused here throughout the show on relationships. We've mentioned some names. We mentioned a lot of people from Fantasy Points. Who are some of those other people that you kind of respect that have helped you along the way to get to where you are today?
Oh, I mean, Joe Dolan. I mean, John Hansen. I mean, he's the one that kind of gave me my chance, and he's whenever Guru was like kind of disintegrating there, he's like, we'll do this again eventually, guys. Just stick with me and stay on the path. And there's been plenty of guys, Graham, Scott Barrett. They're hardworking guys, and I love watching, love reading everything that they do, and following their work. So, but yeah, John has been the biggest guy for me, and Joe Dolan as well. Joe he vouched for me back in the day to help me get my spot with Fantasy Guru. He knew we had a relationship back to college, but he kind of knew the guy I was and how hard I would work, and so that everything I have in this industry is because of those guys. They've really got me on my direction, and I'm here because of those guys. So I'm just looking to make those guys proud by continuing to do great work, and just keep the company going in the right direction here.
Yeah, that's a company man answer right there. I love it. So give us one last piece of advice for those of us trying to make it in this fantasy football industry, and then also give us your best piece of parenting advice as well.
Well, if I was a parent, I'd have better advice.
If you're not a parent, is even better.
Yeah, I'm a single guy living the single life.
The
so
fun uncle is the best parenting advice.
Exactly. That's unfortunately, since I got COVID this week, I was supposed to help my mother, watch my niece and nephew. We had some big adventures planned for the weekend, but unfortunately, I couldn't help my mom this week. So, fun uncle has been cooped up in his room all week here. But I would just say, just keep working hard. I mean, I'm kind of known as, John gave me the nickname as the grinder on his show. I mean, I'm the one that's kind of, willing to put in, all the hours that's needed to write whatever's necessary, get whatever content that's needed, break down whatever tape needs breaking down, dig into whatever stats. So just be willing to put in the time, and, eventually the breaks will go your way. And, just work hard. That's, that's never quit. That's my best advice.
Be the last man standing. Sound like something you can get along with, Matt. Just be the last man standing, huh?
Well, yeah, I don't sleep, so yeah, that works out really well for me most of the time. Now,
we'll see the last man standing at the Fantasy Expo on Friday night when we're hosting the party.
Well, it depends on how early.
It might be different with alcohol involved. I think anything can go.
Oh, hey, you better watch out, because if I get early into those Doubletree cookies there, I mean, who knows where the night's going to go. By the way, Tom, if you haven't had the Doubletree cookies,
I haven't.
Fantastic. They have like a little heater underneath their front desk where they keep the cookies nice and warm and moist. Oh,
man, that's amazing.
Like the chef's kiss.
Now, you better save me one.
Oh, there's no guarantees. I'm cheap. I paid a lot of money for that hotel room. I'm getting me some cookies. I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, I love this because I know Graham, I know Joe, I know Scott. These are all guys that work hard. But when I look at guys who grind out there, and I agree with John, I mean, you are out there grinding. Wes Huber's out there grinding. I mean, he's got COVID 2 more times than you, even on top of it. I mean, he's got COVID like 8 times already. I mean, that's what it takes at Fantasy Points. Everyone out there is grinding, absolutely putting out the work, and they're doing it. It's fantastic to see. So if you're not part of Fantasy Points Nation or whatever we're going with, I mean, use promo code Vipers22, get 10% off today. I mean, what are you waiting for? This is like your one-stop shop for everything you could possibly need pertaining to football, golf, college football. It's all right there.
Yeah, and you guys do a great job with the media group. You guys, Ben has really done a great job with getting all these different voices from around the industry, and finding your different callings here. And I love this little series that you guys have thrown together here, getting some of the best different, best and, unique voices from the industry to kind of tell their stories. And, thanks for, letting me be a part of it and, telling my little story here.
Man.
Well, that's the one thing that we take great pride in here is everyone out there, whether you've got 2 followers or 200,000 followers, everyone has a story. And every little bit of that story, there might be one little piece that someone can take from that and apply to what they're doing today. And that's what we're hoping to get to. The other thing that we're hoping to get to, what we've learned on today's show, if you are struggling for parenting advice, maybe the best thing to do to avoid children altogether is to fake COVID so you don't have to deal with it. We will see you next time on the Behind the Grind of the Dynasty Vipers Vipercast, presented by the Fantasy Points Media Group. Take care now.